Projekt Guru.
Всем привет! С вами Zak Novak на радиостанции Novorossia Rocks. Welcome to Novorossia Rocks radio station. This is Zak Novak, your American in downtown Donetsk. The program is called Projekt Guru, and Guru is in the house as always. Andre, my engineer, as well. Let's get right to it. As elections near in the U.S., suspicious bombings go off in New Jersey and New York. 5 are detained. NYPD and FBI detained 5 people in connection with the explosion that struck New York City's Chelsea neighborhood September 17. This, according to ABC TV. The suspects were detained at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, which connects the New York City boroughs of Brooklyn and Staten Island. We did a traffic stop of a vehicle of interest in the investigation. No one has been charged with any crime. The investigation is continuing, FBI in New York said. The explosion struck New York City's Chelsea neighborhood at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday. That's 3:30 Moscow time. 29 people were injured in the blast. The FBI may be looking for additional suspects, the sources tell ABC News. As ABC News previously reported, multiple law enforcement officials tell ABC News that investigators are exploring the possibility that 2 explosions in New York and Jersey are linked to the same bomber or bombers by what appears to be similar types of cell phones. And on Sunday night, multiple law enforcement officials also told ABC News that police would like to talk to a male seen on surveillance images recovered from both 23rd Street in Manhattan, where the explosion occurred, and a few blocks uptown on 27th Street, where a secondary device was found. Police have not identified the aforementioned man, as they are seeking to figure out who he is, since he appears in videos from both locations. He also has not been characterized as a person of interest. It is also unknown if that male is related in any way to those taken into custody Sunday night. The explosive device in New Jersey and the one that caused the blast in New York City were both set off with cell phones, according to 2 law enforcement officials who have been briefed in the case. The other possible explosive device found near the blast site in New York City also had a cell phone connected to it. A peaceful night in the beautiful Donetsk Republic. Finally, the cowards of the Ukraine Junta military stopped bombing civilians. Truce holds in Ukraine and the republics of Donetsk and Lugansk so far, with no shelling from the Nazi Ukrainian side on civilian areas during the night. It was calm during the night, the heads of Donetsk neighborhoods reported. No shelling was either reported from the towns of Gorlovka and Makiivka. On September 13th, heads of DPR and LPR, that's Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, declared a ban on opening fire from their military in response to provocations by the Nazi Ukrainian armed forces. For his part, Kiev's fascist representative at the Joint Center for Ceasefire Control and Coordination said the Ukrainian side is ready to maintain a ceasefire in Donbass region. German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier said on the following day that the Ukrainian coup leader Poroshenko assured him in a conversation that Kiev was willing to fully comply with the ceasefire in Donbass. Let's see how long that lasts. Ukrainians to send sabotage units into DPR territory. Nazi Ukrainian command is preparing to send sabotage intelligence group to the DPR territory. It was reported yesterday by the DPR Deputy Commander-in-Chief, Edward Basurin. Our intelligence spotted preparation of diversion operations by the 13th Separate Battalion of the 58th Mechanized Brigade of Nazi UAF, that's the Ukrainian Armed Forces, in the territory of the Republic, Basurin pointed out. I would like to say that we have been already waiting for Ukrainian diversionists. We are ready to meet them at the touchline, he pointed out. Viva Basurin, viva DPR. Syrian army loses army base overrun by ISIS thanks to the U.S. regime airstrikes helping the terrorist Islamic State organization. In the defense of the Deir Azor airport, the Syrian military has long depended on an army base in Jebel Darda to repel ISIS advances. That base has been lost this weekend after a disastrous series of U.S.-led airstrikes, killing a large number of Syrian troops defending the base, and ISIS quickly overran what was left. For over 20 minutes, the coalition warplanes attacked the base. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, the attack killed at least 83 Syrian troops and wounded 120 others. The U.S. Central Command claimed they thought the base belonged to ISIS. Well, it does now. With the forces decimated by the U.S. attack, ISIS quickly overran the base. Syrian state media claimed an ongoing effort to recover the site, but it does not appear to have been successful yet, as ISIS managed to shoot down a Syrian warplane flying out of Deir ez-Zor airport over Jebel Darda. The U.S. continued attacking the Syrian troops until they were warned by Russia that they were attacking the wrong site. The U.S. has since expressed regret, but also condemned Russia for calling an emergency UN Security Council meeting over the matter, insisting everyone knows the U.S. would not intentionally strike a known Syrian military unit. Protracted anti-Russia speeches by the U.S. ambassador ended the emergency meeting prematurely and has led Russian officials to remark that the incident is suspicious and reflective of the U.S. refusal to coordinate in the air war against ISIS. The U.S. and Russia had broken a ceasefire which went into effect last week and included the Syrian government, meaning the airstrikes were a major violation of that ceasefire. Though the ceasefire was supposed to, after 7 days, give way to a new coordinated U.S.-Russia bombing campaign, it is unclear at this point if Russia has any appetite to attempt this anymore, as U.S. officials continue to complain that they don't trust Russia to keep up their end of the bargain. Explosion rocks Grand Volyn train center in Lutsk, Ukraine. An explosion rocked the center of Lutsk in Ukraine's Volyn region at night, local media reported Monday. According to the Volynski Novosti newspaper, an explosive device detonated at a parking lot near the Grand Volyn Trade Center. The device was planted under a Lexus car. As a result of the blast, 4 cars parked nearby were totally destroyed. Police have arrived to the scene. No casualties have been reported just yet. Ukraine democracy style, as Nazi right-wing protesters beat up and tried to block voters from voting at the Russian parliamentary elections. Nazi representatives of the Svoboda Freedom Nationalist Organization beat up a Russian citizen who came to the Russian embassy in Kiev to vote at the Russian parliamentary elections. At first, the nationalists would not allow him to enter the embassy and then began beating him. The police interfered with the fight at the time when the man was lying on the ground and the nationalists were kicking and beating him. The police chose not to detain the attackers. One of the leaders of the Svoboda organization, Igor Minoshichenko, laid on the ground at the entrance to the embassy with a Russian national flag so that anyone getting in would wipe his shoes on it. The police do not interfere with provocations of the nationalists who are calling on Kiev residents to come to the embassy to block the voting there. A rally at the embassy was heating up, the protesters holding up insulting posters which tell Russians to vote on Russian territory only. 112 Ukraine TV said that several people attempted blocking the entrance and then began breaking the fence. Law enforcement began fighting them. Finally, one attacker was detained. The police chained the building and would not allow the protesters to the embassy's territory. Democracy, Ukraine style. Guru Andre to continue in Odessa. Representatives of Ukraine Nationalist Organization attempt to block the entrance to the Russian consulate in Odessa, where Russian citizens may participate in parliamentary elections. Some 10 nationalists began preventing Russian citizens from getting inside the building. The police there pushed away the Nazi nationalists, and a fight between them began. The radicals chanted, "Russians, vote in Russia. Ukraine is for Ukrainians only." Spokesman of the National Police, Ivan Ishenko, said 4 people were detained for insubordination to the police and for disorderly conduct. One of the detained is Sergei Stenenko, head of the local branch of the Nazi rights sector, recognized as an extremist organization in Russia and outlawed, a Ukraine kind of democracy. Representative offices of the DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, are to open in 5 countries. It was reported by the acting Minister of Foreign Affairs of the DPR, Natalia Nikonorova. We plan to open 5 representative agencies of the Donetsk People's Republic in 5 countries. Be reminded that the first DPR agency was opened in the Czech Republic on the 1st of September. Amazing, amazing news as we are being recognized by the world, slowly but surely. Hey everyone, that ends our program. As I stress always, be safe out there, stay on alert, and see you back on Wednesday. Bye-bye, folks.